Hey guys, welcome to Lesson 5, Mixed Operations. This is learning no new laws, just some slightly harder questions based on the earlier laws that we've learnt. So question number 1, we have y to the power of 4 times y to the power of 6 times y to the power of 3. That's 3 terms there multiplied. We still add the powers because that's what the multiplication law tells us. So 4 plus 6 plus 3, that's 13. So the answer is y to the power of 13. Question 2, you can see there's a division there and there's a multiplication. According to order of operations, I work left to right. So the division law tells us I subtract. So I do that first. 6 take away 2 is 4. So that's y to the power of 4. I leave everything else the same. And finally, I do my multiplication law. So 4 plus 3 is 7. So that's y to the power of 7 as my final answer. Question 3, I have multiplication first and division second. So according to my order of operations, I do multiplication first. So you can see there 2 times 10 is 20. M to the power of 3. M to the power of 3 times m to the power of 6 is m to the power of 9. N to the power of 4 times n to the power of 3 is n to the power of 7. And so that's 20 m to the power of 9, n to the power of 7. I leave everything else the same. And then I do my division. 20 divided by 4 is 5. M to the power of 9 divided by m is m to the power of 8. And n to the power of 7 divided by n squared is n to the power of 5. So that's my final answer. 5m to the power of 8, n to the power of 5. Question 4, I need to expand these brackets first. So that's what I do. The power to a power law tells me that I multiply the powers to expand the brackets. So 2 times 3 gives me x to the power of 6. 3 times 3 gives me y to the power of 9. I leave everything else the same. And then I apply my division law. So 6 take away 4, that gives me x to the power of 2. And 9 take away 3 gives me y to the power of 6. And that's my final answer. Question 5, I need to expand the brackets again. So I multiply the powers, that gives me b to the power of 21. I leave everything else the same. And then I subtract the powers because it's the division law. So 21 minus 5 is 16. So b to the power of 16 is my final answer. Question 6, according to my order of operations, I work inside the brackets first. So that's multiplication. So 5 plus 4 gives me e to the power of 9. I leave the brackets and the power to a power alone. And then I multiply the powers to get rid of those brackets. That gives me e to the power of 27. Question 7, very similar. I do my division first because it's inside the brackets. So 10 take away 4 gives me e to the power of 6. Then I remove those brackets by multiplying the powers. That's e to the power of 24. Question 8, there's many different ways to do this. I'm just going to break it into 2 parts, the numerator and the denominator. This will ensure that if it's a 2-mark question, you get 1 out of those 2 marks. So you simplify the numerator. 12 times 5 is 60. 7 plus 11 for the powers becomes c to the power of 18. Denominator, 10 times 3 is 30. 4 plus 6 for the powers gives me c to the power of 10. And then I simplify my fraction. 60 divided by 30 is 2. And 18 minus 10 for the powers gives me c to the power of 8. Question 9. I need to expand my brackets before I can get rid of the multiplication. So 3x plus 4 times 2 is 6x plus 8. So that's e to the power of 6x plus 8. Leave the e to the power of x plus 1 alone. And now we can do the multiplication. That means that I add my powers. That becomes 7x plus 9. So the final answer is e to the power of 7x plus 9. Question 10, I need to get rid of those brackets. So the first term becomes 2 to the power of 3x, and the second term becomes 2 to the power of 4 minus 4x. And now I can do my division. This means that I subtract my powers, so 3x minus, in brackets, 4 minus 4x. Make sure you put those in brackets so that you don't get the signs wrong. Then we can expand those brackets. That becomes 3x minus 4 plus 4x. And we clean that up, 2 to the power of 7x, take away 4. That's my final answer. Question 11 is a little bit tricky. We're given a little bit of information in the question, 2 to the power of x equals 3. So to solve these questions, we can sort of work backwards. So 2 to the power of x plus 4, if we're to break that apart, that becomes 2 to the power of x times 2 to the power of 4. So we're sort of using the multiplication law in reverse. We saw a plus there, so it means that the first term is 2 to the power of x, the second term is 2 to the power of 4, and there must be a multiplication in between, because that's how you get a plus in the power. According to the question, 2 to the power of x is 3, so we replace that with 3. We leave 2 to the power of 4 alone because that's just numbers. We can put all of that in our calculator, and that gives us 48, or it's simply 3 times 16, which is 48. Question B, very similar. This time you see a subtraction in the power. That means division. So it's 2 to the power of x divided by 2 to the power of 1. Once again, we replace the 2 to the power of x with 3. This becomes 3 divided by 2. Make sure you write that as a fraction, because if you just leave it as 3 divided by 2, that's not a number. Question C is 16 to the power of x. We need to change that 16 into a power of 2. Why? Because the question has given us information, and it's 2 to the power of something. So what is 16? 16 is 2 to the power of 4. So we replace 16 with 2 to the power of 4, leave x alone, and finally we get something that looks like that. 2 to the power of 4 brackets to the power of x. Now if you have a look at those powers, that becomes 4x. There's another way to get 4x, and that's if you swap the x and the 4 around. That's what we're going to do. We're going to swap the x and the 4 around because I want 2 to the power of x, because that's what the question has given me. Once I've got 2 to the power of x, I can replace that with 3. Then it becomes 3 to the power of 4, which is simply 81. Question D, I have 2 to the power of 3x plus 1. Very similar to start with to the first question we had. You've got 3x plus 1 in the powers. That means it must be multiplication. So that's 2 to the power of 3x times 2 to the power of 1. And now we need to get 2 to the power of x by itself. So we make the 3x a 2 to the power of x all to the power of 3. We leave the 2 alone. And the 2 to the power of x becomes 3. So that's 3 to the power of 3 times 2, which is 27 times 2, or 54. Question E has 4 to the power of x minus 5. 4 is no good to us because we need things in powers of 2. So I leave the x minus 5 alone outside those brackets, and I replace the 4 with 2 squared. Now I have powers of 2. So I'm going to expand those brackets now, and that gives me 2 to the power of 2x minus 10. This is done very similar to the previous question now. The minus is a division. The minus in the power, I should say, is a division. So that's 2 to the power of 2x divided by 2 to the power of 10. 2 to the power of 10 is fine. I just need to fix 2 to the power of 2x. So I can write that as 2 to the power of x all squared divided by 2 to the power of 10. Almost done. I can replace 2 to the power of x with 3. I leave everything else the same. That becomes 3 squared divided by 2 to the power of 10. which is 9 over 2 to the power of 10, or 9 over 1024. And that's it for lesson 5. I'll see you guys soon for lesson 6. Thank you. Bye-bye.